Hello and welcome to Promenade Française. This is the place where you're going to learn French from zero. And as you remember from yesterday and the day before, I had a super duper insane headache on Monday. I had to cancel the weekly challenge. And also I had to realize that it was just way too much work. So I've thought about exactly what it means to learn a language and how to start learning a language from zero. And now you can see I have it right here. At the beginning, I have this word in a box. It says the first sentence. This is what we're going to do. We're going to learn one sentence. Where are you ever going to use one word? I think the smallest unit of understanding is, potentially it's one word, but the most simple sentence in English is a combination of three things. The most popular sentence is generally a sentence which contains a subject, a verb, and an object. The subject, it's the person or the thing which is going to be doing something. The basic idea is that there's something or a person, and then there's some kind of action. And because we're in a world of space and things, we're usually doing the action to someone or something else. All right, so I could punch myself. I am the subject. Punch is the activity. And then myself, we call it an object, the thing which receives the action. I'm playing, and what am I using to play? The computer. And this is the most basic sentence in English. The first sentence in the first book that I created with ChatGPT is called Greetings Part 1, Marie. And the first scene, the first thing that happens is Marie wakes up at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And she looks over and she sees her cat. And she says, "Hello, Sam. You are so cute. How are you this morning?" All right, so that's not exactly the same as a subject, verb, object. And how are you today? In the book, the cat responds with meow. So we don't actually get a full sentence. Anyways, so that is going to be your first sentence in French. Now, the question is, how do I get you and me, how do we learn that first sentence? I've already memorized it, but the point is that I need to create some kind of algorithm so that we can learn more sentences. We want to create some kind of pattern that we can use over and over again to learn more sentences. And I feel like when I said we're going to learn 28 sentences, and then suddenly I get this insane headache, then I think that means that it's like looking up at a gigantic mountain and saying, okay, we're going to climb to the top of this mountain. And then, okay, go. What do you mean go? What's the process? What's the plan? What's the vehicle? How are we going to do it? And so I've broken it down into here. So the first one, it's pronunciation. I think that we need to learn the pronunciation of each of those French words in the first sentence. So we need to learn the words you in French, are in French, so, cute, how are you this morning. We need to learn all those words, and we need to know how to pronounce each of those words. All right, so, and how are we going to learn the pronunciation? From listening. So I need to create some kind of tool or some kind of method so that we can listen to that sentence and also so that we can listen to each of those words. Now in Quizlet, there is a place where you can learn the pronunciation of each of those sounds, but it's like a computer generated sound. So I'm kind of like thinking about, is it best to jump right into Quizlet or should we start with an audio file? And I don't know. I think maybe it's better to start with an audio file so that we can listen to that sentence over and over and over and over again. And then when we jump into Quizlet, we already know how to pronounce the sound. The main thing about Quizlet is that we're going to start reading those words. Is that what it says? Spelling. So in Quizlet, that's when you actually have to input how do you write each of those words. First we listen, listen. And then we start to read with Quizlet. And then as we learn the words with Quizlet, we're also writing. And finally, we're going to want to write the sentence. So we can take the sentences from the weekly challenge, but we're going to break it down into a very simple activity so that it's just one sentence, one conversation. We're going to start with the first interaction that Marie has in her day with her cat, Sam. We're not going to learn 28 sentences. Let's start with the first 2 sentences. Good morning, Sam. Is that a sentence? You are so cute. How are you this morning? So this is our first step, is just one simple sentence. All right, so there we go. We're going to try again. We're going to simplify everything, and let's test out this new pattern.